Welcome to Flowers and Tea. We're the ladies lead the conversation on pot, politics, and policy. And we are still in Boston. And you know it's Dr. Beast here. I got my co-hosts. I got Shirali. I got Rose. And I got Danielle. And I got to pass it to Danielle because we're at NECANN and we're in Boston and we love Boston and we got an amazing. How many times do I have to say amazing when it's really amazing?
At least 10 times.
Amazing guest that is from this state, from this city, in NECANN. But go ahead.
This feels so special to me, being able to be here in Boston to shoot, but also to have Ava with us. She is former acting chair, former commissioner of the Cannabis Commission here. She is also someone who I've had the pleasure of working with for over a decade, an incredibly dedicated servant to our communities, somebody who is born and raised here from my hometown, not just Boston, specifically Mattapan, okay? Shout out to Mattapan. So really having Ava here as a hometown hero, somebody who's been putting in the work in her professional and personal life, I couldn't be more excited. Ava, welcome.
Yes, please give it up. Ava Concepcion!
Gotta put a little razzle dazzle on
that. Listen, do you want to say anything before we get into it?
I'm just happy to be here. I will say this is my first time speaking since stepping away from the board.
Wow.
So I became the former acting chair, former commissioner, November 2025, and the only person that has gotten me out to speak anywhere is Danielle. Because I love her. So, she calls, I answer. I wanted to see you guys. Was it in New Jersey?
Yes.
You were in New Jersey?
Yes.
So I'm glad that you came to Boston.
That's
You're
right.
in Massachusetts, and there's no way I was going to miss it. So I'm glad that you called again.
Yes.
And I'm here. I'm happy. And, you know, whatever questions you have, I'm going to let you know. I'm talking off the cuff. So we're just going to speak. It's very organic. I'm not a public official, so I'm going to be as transparent as possible because I feel like those are the best conversations.
Yes.
So I'm just looking forward to it.
Yes.
You're in the right space.
We're so excited to have you. And, you know, this platform is really soft landing for hard conversations. You know, people don't want to be honest and truthful, so we're excited that you're in a position now that you can do so. And I know you mentioned that you were appointed in 2021, right?
Yes.
But coming from a background in public safety and criminal justice reform overall, for folks in this room, we are live, y'all. We have a live audience today. For folks in you who don't know your full journey, what led you to cannabis, but the policy side specifically, and why did you say yes to getting into this crazy mess?
I know anybody who works in cannabis, it's like you have to be crazy to get into it, right?
And well,
man, because I was a commissioner for 5 years, but 5 years in cannabis is like 20 years.
Yes.
But I feel like there's two prongs to that question. One is sort of the professional side of things, and like my resume. You know, I'm a lawyer, so I'm licensed in Massachusetts. I have a degree in criminology. I worked for 2 different district attorneys here in 3 different capacities. I was a victim witness advocate. I worked in community relations. I ran a department under Rachel Rollins when she was the district attorney. And then when I worked in the State House, I was the counsel for Senator Brownsberger. And this senator in particular was a huge advocate for Question 4. And that was the ballot question that legalized cannabis. So I was actually working in his office when cannabis was legalized. And I worked on a bill that became law. That was called the 2018 Criminal Justice Reform Act. So I wrote the language that did 2 things. One was it reduced the ceiling window. So my job and what I actually did was I wrote the law that reduced the ceiling window from 10 years for felonies to 7 years and 5 years for misdemeanors to 3 years. But the thing that's directly related to cannabis was we didn't have anything that allowed for expungement in our laws. So I wrote the expungement law.
That's amazing.
We had something in common law, so we had case law, but it was only for really, really specific instances. And there was a case that it was like mistaken identity. So someone used another person's name, and the court allowed for that record to be expunged because, you know, it was really, really rare, but there was nothing in our law that allowed for expungement. And now that we had, you know, cannabis that's legal, there's a whole bunch of people who are, you know, obviously affected, who have cannabis on their records. What are we going to do for them? So my job was to create that. And that was the reason why on paper I was the person for the public safety seat for the commission. On the personal side of things, cannabis has always been a part of my life. And this is something that I didn't share when I was on the commission, but I've always, you know, I say cannabis now because we all say cannabis, but when I was growing up, it's weed.
Okay.
I knew weed before I knew what it was. Like, I knew the smell of it before I knew what I was smelling. And that's because my mom used it, and she was a medical user before it was legal. And it's sort of wild, but like my comfort smell is the combination of Pleasures, Estee Lauder, and flower.
I love that.
Like that combo, like if I could put it on a teddy bear, like that is just like a hug. But because it was before legalization, she was characterized as like a bad parent and unfit because she was doing something that was illicit, and she lost guardianship of me and my sister. There was a lot that went on there.
Wow.
So my grandmother became my legal guardian.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a lot of things that happened there, but my grandmother, and thank God, we all lived in one house. So my mom, we had a 2-family household. My mom lived on the first floor, my grandmother lived on the second floor. So we were able to still all be in one location. But when we talk about the stigma, when we talk about the impact of cannabis, and we talk about, in Massachusetts, we say communities that have been disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement. Like, we say all these phrases, but you got to talk about what that actually means. And what that, I don't have a conviction. I'm not someone who actually used myself prior to a certain point, but I was still impacted. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So from a personal standpoint, I saw this as a opportunity to do something that I was already passionate about, to do something that I knew really well, that was already a really big part of my life, and to really just do something I wanted to. I had the knowledge, I had the skill set. It was really where preparation met opportunity. So I said, hell yeah, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
So that's what led to it.
Ava, I did not know that.
I know.
I did not know that about you. Like, you just rocked my world. And I feel like there is so much of that in this industry where you look at people in positions and you do not know what is motivating them, what is driving them, why are they there. You will assume that people have all kinds of, agendas, but you don't know what is motivating folks. So what I do know about you is that we are both from Mattapan. What I do know about you is that you are a Black woman in this space who has always been about community. And so let me ask you, what was that like, carrying that weight of community? Because when we're in these positions, it's a responsibility, right? We go in there, in our passion, but we also have responsibility. And oftentimes, your community sometimes looks at you as the enemy when you're in these positions.
Yes, you went with the ops.
Please.
I know.
So tell me what that's like. You are from this. Yeah, you're from it, you're in it, and then you have somebody looking at you and saying, you sold out. Tell me about it.
I also know how I present, too. It's like, I know how, I feel like that's par for the course, too. You know what I mean? I don't lack self-awareness. I know how I talk. I know how I present too. And I know that that's a tool.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I know that, I talk about my mom, but on the other end of things, like we're multifaceted. If you come from certain communities, if you're from a community of color, we're multifaceted. My mom had her struggles, but my family is also extremely political. Extremely political. We got members of Congress and state representatives. Like, my grandmother is a retired state representative. We have city councilors. My family's originally from South Carolina, and if you go to a certain portion, there are roads named after the family and buildings and so on and so forth. So when I talk about the stigma, when I said I was becoming the cannabis commissioner, they were like, Ava, what are you... What are you doing? And whose name are you representing? Like, it was a thing.
Right.
But I was okay with being seen however I needed to be seen, as long as the job got done. So I didn't care if I was seen in a light that looked like I was on the wrong side of things, so long as what I know needed to get done was pushed forward. And so I need to give an example of this, because
You have an example next to you. I too am the villain.
So you know what I mean? Yeah. So you know what I mean?
All the wrong things that are actually right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like, it's so funny, because I think people always, I would talk about this and I would say, I'm not here. It's so interesting. I think people thought that I was there to run for office. People thought that I was in this role because I wanted to do something. I'm like, I don't want to run for office. People thought that there was so much power in this. I didn't want to go for a second term, and I knew this, but people didn't know that. But they thought I wanted to go for a second term. And then towards like the last 2 years, I didn't even need the paycheck anymore.
Come on.
I know from right. People from a certain place.
Yeah.
Danielle, you know that you're from Mattapan.
I already know.
City kids.
Yes.
I've been working since I was 14.
That's right.
When you
that
work
little
for
city
a while,
job.
girl,
Yeah, you work with little red shirts.
Girl. I've been working for a long time.
That's right.
So, I've been working for a long time, and when you operate from a scarcity mindset, I've always been afraid of being broke, because I've just seen so much. So I've always, luckily now, I finally got to a place where it was now an option. So I was really doing it from passion.
Yes.
So there's power in being in that position. So I was like, I'll take the hits so long as we're getting this done.
Yes.
And I was seeing things in the regulations that was like, what are we doing here? I'm like, I'm seeing these. There were so many frameworks that people would say one thing. Everyone likes to say equity. I used to get so tired of this. Oh, we're the first in the nation.
Oh.
Social equity program. Jeez. We're the first in the nation. Da 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 da. And then when you peel it back and you start reading the actual words, it wasn't lining up.
Nope.
Yes.
Math ain't mathin'.
Math ain't mathin', but it takes time to actually start reading the words. And it's not fun. It's not interesting to read that stuff. It's like really long and it's boring. It's legalese. But I remember one of my key things that I was working towards and I was able to actually change was there were provisions within our regulations that it barred people from even working in dispensaries, cultivation sites, any place within cannabis if you had just about any criminal record. So certain criminal records, yeah, you could, but if you had, and we know, if you had simple possession, fine. But let's say that you had possession and you had a weapon on you.
Yeah.
Let's say that you had possession and resisting arrest. You were barred from working within a facility.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
So it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense when we're talking about now pulling in people who are legacy operators who've already operated within the space.
Yes.
So my main thing was to remove this.
Yes.
But everyone wasn't in favor of that change. And instead of saying, oh, we don't like that, it was, Ava is trying to let in sex offenders.
Oh, they would just
We love a narrative spin.
They just make shit up.
Love a narrative spin.
How do you even
Can you
go
imagine?
from one to the other? I mean, they don't even
Because
connect.
if you open it all up and you remove this stipulation that
So then they can slip through.
now they can slip through. So if you let everyone come through, but it's like, we're not forcing anyone to be hired. Employment laws are still in effect.
Right.
But Ava, she's the sex offender
Protector.
protector.
Yes.
And I said, well, you know what?
I'll be that if that's what you want to think,
So that's just an example. I know I can go on and on, but that was just an example of that. And I was like, you know what? It's still worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm okay.
Yep.
And that was something that I actually went beyond the CCC for. I actually went to the State House and it became a change in the law. So that ruffled some feathers because I was able to get that changed at the State House so that we were forced to change our regulations.
Yep.
And that caused some
little
tension.
kerfuffle there.
Yes.
That was a common issue in New Jersey early on. I represented applicants in 2018 and 2019 before the CREAM Act, and we couldn't have anybody on an application that had a cannabis conviction. It was disqualifying. Yeah, it was a disqualifying event.
That's still here in Massachusetts.
That is crazy.
Wild.
That's a whole nother thing where it was such a hurdle even to give access to employment. So I had to fight for the employment component. If you have a conviction, you cannot be on a license.
So where's the social equity?
Where's the social equity?
Where's the impact? Who is this meant for then, if not for those folks?
Right.
Although if you have it's carved out very specifically. If you have a cannabis conviction, you can have a license.
But that's it.
Yeah.
And if you are a legacy operator, you know there are other crimes that come with that.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
But you would know that if you're someone who's familiar with how our criminal justice system operates.
That's right.
So it's interesting how that works.
I think what's frustrating for me in that is that these people have the opinion, but they don't understand the legal system, but then they also don't understand, like, all right, if you're telling someone they have a dispensary and they have to spend $45 an hour to have an armed guard on the outside, what makes you think homeboy with a couple P's is not going to try to make sure that his business is secure? I'm not advocating for weapons, for gun violence, any of that thing, but it's just, it's sense. Someone is going to try to protect themselves, and then you're going to catch them on that charge, and then you're just ruining their lives for that instead of the actual weed.
And when you think about the people who have the most experience, the people who are the most qualified for the industry that we're talking about, it's not like other industries.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we are completely, banning an entire population who would thrive here.
A lot of
And who's the
institutional
reason
knowledge.
who taught us how to do it legally?
Right.
If they weren't doing it, if they weren't at the forefront of doing it when they did it, this wouldn't be an industry right now. How dare we not let them in?
And the other component of that is like when we talk about, it's frustrating because we'll say that when we're talking about individuals, but it's not just the individual.
That's right.
It becomes like that household,
Yes.
and then that community. It's a larger thing, and I don't think that it's framed the right way.
Yes.
So and I'll say we're from Mattapan.
Yes.
Mattapan's one of those communities.
Yes.
Like that's home. I'm still we're still there.
We are still in Mattapan.
So,
yes.
yeah.
Exactly that.
Right.
Your background and experience makes you the perfect person for the regulatory body, because not only are you an attorney and you understand the legal nuances, but your experience as a child. I mean, you were a victim of criminalization, right, of the plant, and so you understand why you did what you did with the language. How did you get people on board to even do the things that you wanted? I mean, obviously you had a lot of opposition, you just mentioned, but what did it take? What kind of reasoning were you able to, get people to get on board with?
I think, so there are a few things. One is so there are some changes recently, but we had what's called the open meeting law, which I loved. Some people could not stand. So open meeting law here in Massachusetts meant that no more than 2 commissioners could have a conversation outside of the public eye about any given issue. So everything that, any sort of debate had to be in public. So if you did not agree, you couldn't hide your rationale. You couldn't hold your hand. You couldn't. So if you, it's so funny. I'm like, even I'm not even a commissioner, but if you were bigoted, if you, were on the wrong side of things, you had to own that in public. Or you had to get someone else to carry carry your rocks for you outside of the commission. So I love that. But we also got a lot of bad headlines about, oh, they're fighting each other. There's a lot of arguing. But it's like, we're coming from, different sides of the political spectrum. We're being appointed by different appointing authorities. We're from different areas, so that would happen. But I loved it because you had to see where everyone was coming from.
Yes.
And I know that at times I was a little bit of a live wire, but it was a tool.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm going to put this out here, and we're going to have a conversation about it. This is where I'm coming from, and this is why it's needed. So that's one way. The other way that this is in politics in general is people always operate from their own self-interest.
Yes.
So just keeping that in mind and being mindful of that. Yeah. So thinking about sort of what needed to get done and understanding sort of how someone was going to go about it. Yeah. So I know what my goal was. How would I do this in a way that would appeal to this person in their interest? Yes. And so I would always think that through. And
sounds like you were like a council person.
Well, it's growing up in politics, honestly. So that's how I would navigate it.
That's smart. I mean, that's the way to approach it, right? Because I used to struggle a lot in the beginning and saying, why don't they get this? Why don't they care about this? But they might care about medical access. They may care about health care. They might care about veterans, whatever that angle must have been.
Exactly.
And then you do your research on, whoever it is you're talking to understand that's the angle to go after. Yes. But it is a lot of that. So to your point, like, you just have to know who your audience really is.
Yeah. And then the third thing is also being okay with not laying claim to the wins sometimes. Right. It's like, it's okay as long as it's done.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was just the third part as well. Yeah.
Mission first. I like that.
Well, why don't we get into what's been happening lately, right? It's a momentous shift, right?
Yeah.
At the federal level. So we're reading that Joe Rogan is getting a lot of credit for influencing Trump to fast-track rescheduling, right? What do you think? And I know you've stepped away from the commission, but obviously you're still vested in this. Yeah. What do you see happening with this at the state level, and what can business owners do to position themselves, right, to avail themselves of the fact that now 280E is not going to be this tremendous obstacle in operating a cannabis business?
Man,
do you even believe it?
Man, cannabis is like
a reality show.
Oh my god!
It is the drama.
Oh my gosh! It is not for the weak
at all.
It is not for the weak. It is one thing I will say. It's very interesting. It's never dull. It is never dull. So it's interesting how the rescheduling, like the approach to it.
Yeah.
Because medical cannabis is now rescheduled, but not adult use cannabis.
Yes.
And then
such an important distinction.
The original track is still going forward for all cannabis, but that's coming down the pipeline, I believe, in June. So we're still looking at that. So it's just interesting. I think any traction is good traction. And I will say that on the medical side of things, I think that's phenomenal because it opens a lot of things. It opens the doors to research. It opens the doors to access. I told you my own personal connection to that, so personally, I'm thrilled about that. I know Danielle knows this, and I'll share this. I lost a friend recently, and today was his funeral, actually. My childhood friend of 22 years to cancer. He's 39. But he relied on medical cannabis, relied on it. I've seen medical cannabis, but to have more information about that and to get the research and information is so vital, because I just feel like it's such a better medicine than the other things that are out there. But there's still so much more to do. And I also know about those people who are still fighting, who have their criminal records, who are still, don't have their lives. Even when we talk about the war on drugs, people talk about it as like a bygone era.
Right.
And that drives me insane.
Yes.
Because it's not bygone.
It's not.
People are still, you have whole livelihoods that are just completely diminished because you're never going to regain that time. You're never going to regain or get that career back. But I digress. So, I think that it's great that we have some progress. I think that this administration is now, it is hilarious, but it's great that they always find a way to sort of circumvent the norm. So they found a way to circumvent. I think this is like an international treaty that's been used to do this.
Yes.
I'm like, I didn't even know this international treaty existed. So do you guys know like the mechanism that was used? It was it's an international treaty that was used to reschedule.
Interesting.
And the reason why it was medical cannabis is because the way that medical cannabis is tracked and traced. So that's why it can only be medical, because it complies with the requirements of the international treaty.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Versus adult use cannabis.
Right.
So it was quick,
Yes.
it was there, and you can do it without having to go through the normal process.
And I'm sure sorry, Danielle.
No.
I'm sure you can appreciate the fact that it's going to go through the hearing now.
Yep.
Then you have that 30-day window, and then for opposition, which I'm sure there's going to be opposition.
Someone.
Yeah.
Because with the old hearing, the court had issued the stay,
That's
and then
right.
that got nowhere.
Right.
What do you think about this time around? Do you think we're going to see the same kind of pattern with like a stay happening and it delaying implementation?
I don't think so. Just because the standard is different with this route. So you would have to prove, based on the treaty, that this doesn't amount to like the standard that's required for like what. I want to, because I was going through the entire order over the last few days, and it's still so fresh. This order is pretty long, and it's like a treaty that is very old and not really used. This administration is also known for using things that nobody grabs and uses. I'm like, where is this even coming from? I feel like I'm getting another law degree. I'm getting another law degree. I'm like, I didn't study international law, and now I'm looking at international treaties. There's a lot going on. But I don't think we'll get the same pushback. I also don't think that there's going to be as long or as much of a holdup with this. And at the same time, I think it's good because both vehicles are still moving. So that doesn't mean that the other process is stopped or eliminated either. So they're both going forward.
Right.
And no matter where you stand in terms of your politics, it's still a good thing in terms of cannabis and the industry, especially when we're talking about the tax implications and 280E and access to finances and banking, because we all know that access to capital has been a huge problem and barrier. So I think that is something that's incredible.
Absolutely. It's great, but I think it's also, we have to be cautious to think that the change is going to be immediate, right?
That's right.
Because it is definitely going to be a long process. I mean, I immediately had clients calling me, like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Right? Can I start writing stuff up? And I'm like, there's a process.
Yes.
Give it time. We know guidance documents are, guidance is coming out, but it's definitely going to be a long process, but obviously a change in the right direction.
Yes. And I mean, 280E was killing businesses.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
But it doesn't even seem, that a lot of businesses will be able to take that credit anyway, right? Because if it's only medical and it's not adult use related, then the majority of the businesses that are social equity, at least, and small businesses and minority-owned businesses, don't even get that benefit. So I just want to say that out loud again for folks to hear, right? We start to get excited about things, but you have to understand what it means for you very specifically.
That's right. That's right. That's a huge point.
Yeah.
And the order doesn't even mention 280. It's just by law that's de facto what's going to happen because 280 only applies to Schedule 1 and Schedule 2.
Yeah.
So now we're still waiting for the Department of Treasury to come out with whatever that's going to look like. Is it retroactive for these businesses? What does that look like? There's so much.
And isn't it wild too? It's wild because we're talking about it's the same product, but one is Schedule 1, one is now Schedule 3. So we're saying now there's some like medical benefits.
Yes.
All of a sudden.
If it's on the medical side.
All of a sudden.
And it's like when you go into a dispensary.
Same product.
Same product.
It's the same thing.
It's the
Right.
Yeah. So
As a matter of fact, even in a medical dispensary that sells adult use, it's the same.
It's the same.
That's right.
It's
And
the
when
same.
they run over, when they run out,
Yes.
they just move it over to the other side.
That's it. Yep. You're on this shelf now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Well,
What a time.
speaking of, all the change that you obviously have done and try to
Yeah.
continue to do, we did have an official in the audience once upon a time. I guess they left. They're not the biggest fan of me in New Jersey either. I guess, you're more important because you're a lawyer and we're a commissioner. I guess being a vet and all the other things wasn't enough. But when this is what I'm saying. Listen. The regulatory bodies are slow, but you were there and you saw the problems and you course corrected. And that's what I'm always... fair.
Okay.
But the movement that I'm seeing happen here, even when Danielle, they just the whole what was the whole trying to roll it back?
yes,
right? Roll back
exactly.
adult
This bill
use?
that they're trying to put out there, and they're
Right.
trying to
Yes.
take our cannabis
Yeah.
away. Make sure you educate yourselves so that when that comes out, you
Right.
can make sure we
Yes.
vote against it.
Right.
But
Yes.
yes, there was mobilization quick. around
Exactly.
that, for sure.
And
For sure.
by that's like it's going back to the self-interest, right? And people understanding when something needs to change, it's the mission first, and you have to go by the data and the lived experience. And if you know that there's a problem and you decide not to fix it after you already know it's a problem, it's just your ego. Because you don't want to be wrong, because you don't want to be mad. There's rooms that I've been left out of because they don't want my voice because I'm too loud, but I'm also right.
You too.
I also own the dispensary.
Let me
I
move my
also
number back.
know,
Ava said, let me
You
shift
too.
to- on that.
Let me get to my
Okay.
question. As someone who deeply cared about equity outcomes, and I never, first off, not only was I not a social equity applicant, but I never used that word because equity, somebody had a shirt, is not a program. Right?
Hello.
So,
It's a way of
how? And I'm feeling the energy here. So please tell me, how
Like
did
those
you?
signs in the windows, Black Lives Matter.
Yes, yes.
I've done my part. Black
Yes.
Lives Matter.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yes.
it. That's all. Yep.
In my neighborhood, we call them lawn advocates.
There we go.
Lawn sign. You know,
That's
they always
it.
got a
Yeah.
lawn sign for what they want to.
That's it. Leave me alone.
How did you balance your own energy with your passion, and especially knowing your story now? Like I'm sure having to be an official, keep that shit at the bottom of your feet, right? Be from these environments, not want to crash out, but also be like, I'm a lawyer. Let me get myself together. Let me go get my performity on. Like, how did you balance the urgency? Because these communities are feeling the pain, and the pace of government is not it, but it's not just the pace, it's their urgency with their ego. How did you do it, Mama?
It is,
She's like, how did I do
Right.
it?
Yes.
The first 4 years, I will say I held tight.
Okay.
The tail end, because I stepped down.
Yeah.
The tail end, I stepped down in a way that I think I know a lot of people were shocked. But my last year, I was pregnant. And I led with passion. And I think that passion allowed me to do a lot. And, I said I didn't, I was from a place where I lead with passion. I know I had nothing to lose. It was like, I'm here, I'm fighting. Because, I feel like when you don't have to count on the paycheck, you're able to do more.
Yes. Come on.
Yes.
I didn't tell people that, though.
Come on.
And that was kind of cool because you can see how people really are, too.
Right.
But that was a really good position to be in. But when you have somebody inside of you growing, I started to have medical complications. And at that time, so I'm 38 now. I was 37 then. 37 is young for a political official, public official. It is not so young for a mom who's carrying.
Right.
So I had complications, and I'm saying this out loud because it became a Globe story. So it was on the Boston Globe. I had to take medical leave because everything here became Globe stories. Ava was in the news left and right, everything. I ended up having preeclampsia, so I had to take leave. And then I gave birth, and I took my maternity leave. And even the way that was handled, it was very interesting. And so my family I swear they had an intervention with me. And they said, Ava, you gotta check yourself. you got to check yourself. And it was the first time that I had to think about stopping. And it was incredibly hard, but I thought about sort of what I was able to accomplish and what could be taken down, because I know people wanted to take things down. But luckily the things that I did do was by law.
Come on.
So, you know, the creation of the Social Equity Trust Fund.
Yes.
Law.
Come on.
The elimination of those barriers for people with criminal records. Law. So I said, okay, well, that's done. And I just had to put my own health first.
Yep.
And it was crazy. I had to call up the Attorney General, who I love to this day. She's my girl.
Oh my God.
Love her.
Love. Shout out.
From Mattapan.
Shout out from Mattapan as well. Mattapan is really
Everyone's
producing
from
some. I'm telling you. It's a very small part of the city, too.
But I had to make the decision to step down. And lo and behold, like even lots of articles, and it was like after a long leave.
Being a mother.
But it wasn't that as a mother. It was just like after a long leave and absence.
Oh my gosh.
Commissioner Concepcion. So I held up for, it was a 5-year term, but it was at the end. So my term was up in January. I ended at the end of November that I decided to step down. And I look back on it, I'm glad I did it. I know it was necessary. The entire commission changes now, too. I don't know if you guys heard about that. There's change in the law.
Yep.
There will be an entirely different iteration of commissioners. I'm glad that in the law, there a standalone social justice commissioner, which is vital.
Absolutely.
Vital to the work. But I mean, at this point, I'm so incredibly frustrated that we had vertical integration out the gate because we're already starting behind the ball when you do that.
That's right.
And I'm hoping that, as more people come online, I know, there are a lot of things that have happened, and it's like in retrospect, you shouldn't do that. But I had to stop.
Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for the transparency and the vulnerability. I really hope that everyone who watches this show, right? Like it's not just about weed. It's not just about like making money. There are people here that have been really impacted by the war on drugs. There are people that are basically volunteering to do this work. Like my attorney, I don't know, my bill is probably who knows how long. Like a lot of people, there's so much talent in this space and passion, and we are getting abused. And for narratives to be rewritten, and women in particular, because they don't acknowledge that many of us, our moms, have older kids. Rose got her kids. They're around here right now.
They are.
Right? In real time. Dee got her son.
Okay.
As a single parent, I got 2 little ones.
Okay.
A 2 and a 6-year-old. Like, we are doing...
I got a 6-year-old too. And a 15-month.
And these are jobs.
Yes.
Right? And respect to all the conferences that we go to, but there are so many men, and they get to step away from their families. But the reason that we started this show is because as I was in this space over time, I was recognizing, wait, kind of like the important stuff and like the smart stuff, the the policy and the writing and the reform, I see like a lot of women. I started to really see this distinction. Wow. Like the men had a certain place in this industry, and it just reminded me. And my doctorate is in leadership, looking at Black women who have ascended to the highest peaks of the police department. And it's like, you put us in these positions to do the work, to move the needle for then you to be the one with the successful business. And then we get to be the bad guy, right? We get to be the Black and Latinas and people of color that do the work and then get railroad. So I'm so glad that you were able to offer this clarity because there's so many thank yous that need to be rendered.
Come on.
From so many
emotional.
Women. No, because I'm so mad because when I meet more women that I just hear the intersections of our journeys and our stories and still doing different things. And the women are moving mountains while raising babies, and it sounds like the old days all over again. And we're just dressing it up with smoking weed like it's different.
I know.
Ava, I have a question for you.
Okay.
After you have been through all of this, after you have done the good fight, you've taken your health into consideration. I feel like this is, we've talked a lot about working hard and taking our health into consideration.
Yes.
We've talked about this on the show, that balance.
Yes.
And got your 15-month-old. What's the next chapter?
Yeah.
Like, you got so much passion. You're so brilliant. Like, we, to Eliza's point, owe you so many of the laws here that made sure we were safe as a community.
Yeah.
Like, where are you putting that energy, that passion, and those brilliance now?
I am. It is so cool to be in this position now because I'm being selective.
Yeah, come on. We love a selective time in our life.
Yes,
we love that time in our life.
Choices, options. I'm going where I'm celebrated, not tolerated.
At first, I was not. I didn't. It was weird to feel like this.
Yeah.
When I knew that I was going to step away, at first I was like, "What am I going to do?" Wow. And my husband. It's always good to have a supportive person in your corner.
Yes.
He sat me down. He's just like, "What do you sit down?"
Right. He's like, "You're gonna relax."
Sit down.
That's beautiful.
So I'm not necessarily like seeking.
I love that.
Anything.
Yes. No, we love that.
Yeah.
But if there's something that aligns with me, I'm not opposed to something.
Yeah.
But I'm not, at the time being, it is all about self-care.
Yes.
And it's all about like making sure the kids are good, that I'm good, but I really like it. This is the first time I found something where that passion and the education and everything just lined up. And cannabis is it's a pun, but cannabis is dope. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah,
it is challenging. There's so many wild things that happen, but politics is also something else too.
I'm telling you.
I just want to add to that because I've been practicing 25 years this year, and since I got into cannabis in 2018, and I've just built up my practice, it's the best time of my career. The work is challenging, but it's so fulfilling, and for the first time in my life, I was actually recognized for the work that I do because I really love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it definitely makes a difference in just overall your whole career. It impacts. If you love what you do, it shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Well, thank you, Ava.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Anytime. And Danielle,
Girl, so thankful and grateful for your time. And so thankful and grateful for your service.
She made me put on my little hat again.
Listen, it was already still there, girl. You just turned it on.
Yes.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Very grateful
Thank
for the
you
time.
all. Thank you all for doing this, too. This is an amazing platform.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have any, I guess if you sitting down, you don't want nobody to bother you, but you got anything you want to say?
Any last words for the people?
No, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love this.
Yes. Yes.
Well, enjoy your time with both babies now.
I know. Thank
right?
you.
And hopefully something that calls you will allow you to use that passion. But for me, even like when we do this, it's inspiring for me because they want to silence you. They want to truncate your voice.
Yeah.
And when you got that fire, it's going to be sparked again.
That's it.
You know what? The one thing I will say, and this is to my beautiful Attorney General, is I feel like I gotta give her a hug.
Yes.
Because I know so many times she gets in my ear and says, "Girl, thank you," but I know I caused her some sleepless nights. I know there were times she wanted to go, "Ava, girl." I did want to say that. I know.
Wow. Shout out to the Attorney General.
Okay.
Shout out to our Attorney General, Andrea. You know we love you, girl.
So that was it.
Progress is, sometimes takes some pain and hard conversations.
That's right.
And that's why we have the table set.
That's right.
We are NECANN. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to all the folks at NECANN that work so hard to put these conferences together. Can't wait to see you in Jersey. Make sure you guys come down for that. Shout out to Ascend for sponsoring and being a great partner and making sure that we bring these conversations to the people. These narratives that they try to rewrite out here, we are having open discussions, a soft landing for hard conversations. And Frank, I'm going to hug you like a big teddy bear forever. I don't work for Ascend, so fight me. Until next time, this is Flowers and Tea. NECANN, peace, Boston!
Bye.
Bye.